Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to Terrible Podcast, Season 10, Episode 28. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being with us this Wednesday, Steelers Nation. Dave, we got a lot to talk about today. Hope you're painting your barn red or yellow or whatever paint you got over there.
Are you ducking serious?
You're starting with the puns already. It's gonna be a long show.
Yeah, you got to be ducking excited this week, right?
That's not what the phrase I would use.
But yeah, and I don't want the barn painted yellow. You got to paint it gold. None of this yellow stuff.
Yeah, right.
You got to paint the barn gold this week. But yeah, here we are, week number 6. The Steelers are 1-4. Missed a golden opportunity in week 5. Man, we would be talking about the first place in the AFC North Pittsburgh Steelers had they found a way to beat the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. Unfortunately, obviously that wasn't the case, but here we are, and you know, I know it's hard to be optimistic right now, but boy, if they sure could get a win Sunday night again with their number 3 quarterback against the Los Angeles Chargers, and maybe get a little bit of more help around the league, maybe from an unlikely source such as the Cincinnati Bengals who play the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. Maybe we'll be a little bit have a little bit of optimism next week there.
It's funny, and Tomlin mentioned it at his press conference yesterday, which we'll delve into here in a second, is that the last time they were in, San Diego/LA, they had Mike Vick, the whatever, 3rd, 4th string quarterback, and they won. So history has a funny way, maybe hopefully repeating itself.
Yeah, and they won that game on a last-minute run. A wildcat.
Out of the Wildcat.
All the stars are aligning, right?
But look at that Hollywood script. It's looking better and better. They just got to have this thing actually turn into some wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much more we need as a backstory here to liven up this movie script that I've had going for a while here. But boy, it could really take a unique turn should things go right Sunday night.
All right, well, let's talk about who will be available for Sunday night against the Chargers. Tomlin went through the injury report yesterday. Some names we expected, some names we didn't expect, and probably the biggest of the latter of those two groups is Jaylen Samuels, running back, went under a knee scope, I guess Monday, I believe it was, and will be out for probably about a month, is what Tomlin said. So Jaylen Samuels suffered it during the game, played the whole game, but I guess it bothered him afterwards. They got it taken care of. So that's obviously a big loss for the Steelers, now relying on a run game, especially with Devlin Hodges likely to be your starter for Sunday.
Boy, what a mess right now. I mean, you talk about a team that I guess technically came into this season healthy, right? Got out of the preseason.
Yeah, so much for that.
Okay, and then of course Roethlisberger goes down, right out of the chute there, and it's kind of snowballed since then, and especially when it comes to the offensive side of the ball there. Mason Rudolph, who took that shot, of course, in the early in the 3rd quarter there against the Ravens, still in concussion protocol. And that's to be expected. But with that, and I thought Dr. Mel did a great job of writing this up the other day. I mean, right out of the chute, she kind of pegged this one that expect him not to play against the Chargers there, and I think that's the prudent thing to do with him, especially with the bye week to follow. On top of it, to hear Tomlin talk, I mean, he didn't want to speculate on a timetable for Rudolph because he's been through it long enough, and he's no medical expert, and everything that goes along with that, and it just does not feel like Mason Rudolph will be ready to play Sunday night against the Chargers there. So expect him to be out. James Washington, who suffered a shoulder injury right around there, I guess the first drive or so after Hodges had entered the game. That was initially called an AC sprain by Tomlin. He listed him as questionable, I think, yesterday during his press conference, and then there was a report this morning by Ian Rappaport stating that Washington's likely to be out. I guess it was quote unquote maybe a couple of weeks, something along those lines there. So it doesn't sound like he's going to be available for this Sunday night. Mark Barron left the Sunday game with a hamstring injury. Tomlin kind of termed him as questionable. Steven Nelson in that same boat with a groin injury, but I kind of, me and speculating about groins, but I think Tomlin kind of hinted that Nelson might be able to play Sunday night against the Chargers there. And then really the big one, as you pointed out, Jalen Samuels suffered a knee injury at some point. I mean, I reckon it might have happened on that last pass there, that he was tackled, for a 2-yard loss along the sideline. That would be my best guess there. Really didn't see anything other than that. But as Tomlin said, he got his knee scoped on Monday. About a month on him, so he's definitely out for Sunday night. Mike Tomlin did say, and we'll have to see what the injury report says on Wednesday. A couple of previous guys that have dealt with injuries appear to be moving in a positive way. We'll see and check their availability based on participation through the week. Those guys are Chickalo and Rosie Nix. And he went on to say that Vance McDonald, who missed a previous game, appears to be no worse for wear, thank God, with his participation in the last performance against the Ravens there. So Nix has been out since week 1. Be a hell of a damn time to get him back this week if that happens. And Chickalo, who's been out for the last 3 games with his foot injury, we'll have to see what happens with him. So, you're not giving a young quarterback a lot of help to not have a pass catcher in James Washington and a pass catching backup running back in Jalen Samuels on top of everything else.
And as would be expected, and Tomlin hinted as much, you can expect some roster moves. Probably going to be in-house to kind of hint at later in the week. No moves have been made yet, so you would probably expect Trey Edmonds to come up from the practice squad to the 53 to help replace Samuels, be the number 3 back, good special teams player. Other moves, I'm not quite sure. Obviously, Dante Moncrief likely to get a hat this week. That won't be a roster move, just a change on the active Sunday roster, but anything else in terms of roster moves you might be expecting here?
Yeah, Mr. Paxton Lynch.
Oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, right, because I know Tomlin didn't rule out Rudolph, but he's almost certainly not going to play.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not able to start, you would think he's just going to be inactive. I couldn't see a scenario where they dress him there, so you would have to promote Paxton Lynch from the practice squad on Saturday. So there's at least going to be 2 moves that are going to be made. I wouldn't think even if Mark Barron can't play, they still have 4 other linebackers in Devin Bush, Vince Williams, Matakevich, and Ulysses Gilbert III. So I couldn't see. I suppose there's a tiny chance that maybe a guy like Spillane comes up, but I think those are the 2 that we're talking about. Let's assume that those are the 2 that we're talking about in Trey Edmonds to help definitely out on special teams, because you probably don't want Benny Snell handling the special teams load that he's handled to date if he's going to be the backup there, and obviously with needing Paxton Lynch up. Who would be the 2 that you move off?
Well, to be fair, I think Snell will still play some special teams. Samuels plays a good, but his special teams
sure. I mean, but you don't want him playing 18 snaps, right?
Yeah, it might be a little bit less though. Maybe Rosie Nix coming back will change things as well. I think Jaron Elliott, if Chick can come back, I think Elliott's going to be the odd man out, and the other guy, I'm not too sure of. To be quite honest with you, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the roster myself, and it is kind of hard to find me unless somebody maybe goes to IR, right? Yeah,
I don't know what candidate that would be. I don't think Samuels is bad enough to warrant that.
It doesn't sound like it, at least. I'm trying to peel through this thing real quick here. I mean,
unless they would release Gentry. I mean, they've rolled with 2 tight ends before. They get Rosie Nix back. That may be a move.
What about any of these defensive backs? I mean, you probably couldn't do anything there, man.
And you could go with a lineman, and Bugs or Fred Johnson if you really wanted to risk it.
Yeah, boy, Fred Johnson. I have a feeling we're at that point of the season
Yep.
now where I do worry about that kind of stuff here. Boy, the Bengals would probably love to get their hands on on Johnson at this point here. I don't have a clue, Alex. To be honest with you, I think it's a good call on J-Ron Elliott. As being one of those guys. I mean, I don't have a clue who the second one would be.
Yeah, I don't try to guess.
Hey, maybe you don't have to call up Edmonds, if Rosie Nix can play. But I mean, that's mighty risky.
Yeah, but Edmonds is going to give you some quality snaps on special teams, and they've been using 3 backs on. I guess maybe, but yeah, it is risky because someone goes down, then you're really. I mean, I know Rosie can carry it in a pinch, but that is in a real pinch. But I will say though, and this might be minor, maybe it's major, kind of segues well in the special teams talk, is that thank goodness, hopefully Nix can come back this week because Washington on the kick return team, James Washington was Rosie Nix's backup. He was in there only because Nix got hurt. So if you're down Nix and Washington, then I don't know who's playing that one of those up back spots on the kick return team. So hopefully Nix can come back because Washington's probably not going to play.
I mean, would you be willing to cut a guy like maybe Cameron Kelly or Jordan Dangerfield?
Well, Dangerfield, you're cutting a good special teamer, and Kelly that is part of the dime package right now. I would lean towards no, but like I said, it probably would be. I personally, I'm just kind of thinking top of my head here. J-Ron Elliott and Zach Gentry are the 2 guys I'd cut.
What about Switzer? I mean, I know you're
Keep
already down. You're already down. I mean, you're gonna possibly be down one receiver anyway, but it's not like he's been playing much. Well, we'll see. We'll find out by Saturday at 4:00. That's for sure. I mean, we'll speculate a little bit more about this on Friday, I guess.
Yeah, we will. So everything else that Tomlin said, because that wraps up the injury report, I think, pretty well. I'm not sure where you want to start with this thing. We can start with Devlin Hodges, I suppose, because he is going to likely be the guy Sunday night in L.A. to take on the Chargers. And Tomlin, as I think everybody was, impressed with his performance, kind of how the moment wasn't too big for him. I think that was the phrase that we used on Monday's show, and how he was fearless, and that's a good trait to have for a quarterback. And just kind of, but also at the same time, Tomlin said he's that steady Eddie kind of guy where he's never getting too high, too low, and came in and kind of embraced the moment. So, I mean, we're talking, third, technically really 4th string UDFA rookie quarterback here, but he's playing as well as you could hope for in that situation.
Tomlin said, really no different than my impressions that I have had throughout this process with him, most of which I have expressed to you guys. He has an awareness and savvy or moxie about him that is beyond his experience. It was evident in Latrobe. He carried it into preseason stadiums, and now he has given us a little insight that he is capable of carrying it in the regular season stadiums. It is all positive. Obviously, he lacks a lot of experience in the things that go with experience, but I like his demeanor. I like his steady Eddie. Is it steady Eddie EDDY, or is it Eddie the name Eddie? I'm always kind of worried about that.
I looked that up. I found both, so dealer's choice, I guess.
Okay, I wrote it up as Eddie, as in Eddie Haskell, but of course you would have no idea who the hell Eddie Haskell is.
Leave it to Beaver.
Oh, you actually know that?
Yeah, we finally found one.
We found common ground with a 1950s.
My mom used to watch a lot of TV Land.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike do it.
All right. Steady Eddie attitude and approach to it. I think that is an asset to him and us in the present circumstance. He goes on to ask, with your young quarterback against this defense, do you have to run the ball more? It just means we need to stay on schedule. And, Tomlin once again covered the aspect of, field position being key in that game against the Ravens again, and not punching the ball in when they got the turnovers, especially in the Ravens' own end. That kind of sums up another 8 of the press conference, I think, from yesterday there. So, look, I mean, I guess we'll get into some Devlin Hodges talk here. Let's first go back, Alex. Rewind in your mind, if you will, what your thoughts about Devlin Hodges were during training camp and the charting, and let's go back that far first of all.
I think it was impressive. I think he's been impressive to everyone every step of the way. And we identified him even before training camp as someone to watch, and not your typical number 4 quarterback, a guy that had a great career at Samford, broke the FCS record for passing yards, broke Steve McNair's record. down there. So he had a great career, and then he came in and just kind of his arm and just kind of how fearless he was. And he would push the ball downfield. He would take chances, and I thought managed mistakes and didn't make too many of them. And if he made a mistake, he didn't repeat it. So I just thought overall he looked. His play was uncommon for a guy in his position, and I mean that in a good way.
And what we look. I mean, you can say that we thought when he was signed there that there might be something to him. I really didn't. I mean, until I saw a little bit of tape on him, obviously, right when he was signed out of rookie minicamp. But in no way, shape, or form did the thoughts run through my head that, hey, this is a guy that's going to be turning some heads in training camp, in the preseason. That's going to be the talk of the town coming out of preseason. That people are going to be upset that he's cut. I just didn't know enough about him.
I never predicted this I never thought this would be the scenario we're talking about. I just thought he would play well and create a little bit of buzz.
I just viewed him honestly like I view most of them at that time, and that's a fourth, an extra arm in training camp there to help the team through the days that Roethlisberger wants to rest his arm on, kind of thing. Now, fast forward into the preseason. Obviously, I did a full breakdown on him on, I think, what was it, like his first 18 passes or something along those lines there. And I think the thing that you and I were talking about back at the time was, man, accurate. But I think one of the things that I pointed out was a lot of them were outside the numbers. Obviously, his completion percentage suffered from the main point that receivers weren't catching the football. He had, what was there, like 4 or 5 drops in there early on there. So I think the thing that stuck out the most about Devlin Hodges during the preseason with me and the tape breakdown was the accuracy, especially outside the numbers. And then really, I go back to thinking about the touchdown where he, I think it was to Devin Jones over there in kind of the left side of the end zone. Forgetting if it was against Tampa Bay or Kansas City one, where he kind of had to wait, had to kind of drift a little bit back there, wait for the receiver to come open. And I thought that showed a lot there. A lot of poise there. Did not seem like the moment was too big for him even in the preseason. And then really we didn't see him in the third preseason game, right?
Right.
And then we get into that final one, and then was that the one where kind of all hell breaks loose there?
Yeah, that was not a great end to that.
Now, obviously, he didn't have. I mean, he had a furniture mover offensive line in front of him there, so it was really hard to take anything major out of that last preseason game. So it kind of exiting the preseason, I would say, hey, he's an accurate quarterback. Showed some poise there. And better than your average fourth string quarterback there. But with all that said, neither one of us were surprised that he was not kept on the 53.
Sure. I knew that at the end they weren't going to do that. Obviously, was not kept at all. Brought back after Josh Dobbs was traded to Jacksonville. Signed to the practice squad, then elevated to the 53 after Ben's injury, and then, of course, came in relief of Rudolph last week. But, yeah, the big thing for me was just mentality for him. So much about playing quarterback is about mentality, and I never thought he shrunk to any one moment, whether that was in camp, in a 2-minute drill, or the 7 shots drill, or in a preseason game at home, on the road, and certainly did not shrink to the moment Sunday against Baltimore.
To your credit, I think you did. Didn't you try to put him on the practice squad on your final 53-man roster?
Yeah, I had him on the practice squad for most of the time, and I thought maybe they would still keep him because I thought the play warranted it, but obviously they didn't do that initially.
All right. So I mean, we basically came out of this that this kid could be possibly a number 3.
Yeah, I thought he had talent to stick in the league. That was my evaluation of Devlin Hodges, and I think that's proven to be true.
All right, now let's fast forward now to the game against the Ravens there. And I went through the tape very meticulously, charting, and then obviously, and hopefully by now people have looked at all, 12 throws that he made. I know technically he made on 9 in total, but I think there was some penalty. Anyway, it ended up being 12 throws in total, and Let me get your takeaway from those 12 throws first.
Again, more of the same. I thought the fearless attitude, ability to drive the ball downfield. Again, uncommon stuff for a guy in his position, a rookie UDFA, but also just some of the anticipation on the routes too. I thought his best throw of the game was that comeback to Deante Johnson on third down, I believe, or I think he even changed the protection too pre-snap. So it was a timing route. The ball's out well before Johnson's even out of his break. The ball's in his hands as Johnson comes out of his cut. I thought it was just a great rhythm timing throw for a guy that I'm sure did not get many reps during the week and coming in cold and coming in his first game and in a big spot late in the game on the line, season practically on the line, just all those factors coming together to make one heck of a throw. So I just thought kind of the attitude that he showed, the poise that he showed, and his ability to drive the football down the field with anticipation and timing and touch were all impressive.
All right, let's walk through these real quick. The first one that he had was that quick out route to James Washington along the sideline there. That was the one that pass interference on Brandon Carr looked like he maybe hooked Washington on that route. If Washington's not hooked on that route, I think that ball's there for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that was throw number one. Of course, that one didn't count because of the penalty on Carr. The second one was what a messed up. What'd you think about that? I don't know if you're following along with the post that I put on this there, but the incomplete pass to James Washington, the play that Washington injured his shoulder on, that thing just looked kind of messed up from the get-go there. Washington collides with David DeCastro off the line of the scrimmage right after the snap there. I don't know what happened there. If DeCastro just missed his block and said, I'm on to the next level there. I don't know. The play looked kind of messed up right from the get-go. And you even have kind of Ramon Foster out there a little bit in space as Washington's coming across on the crossing route there. The only thing that I kind of picked up on that is maybe Devlin Hodges could have got the ball out a little bit quicker to Washington than he did. And the only other thing, it was a little bit off target. It's hard to tell. Was that thing tipped maybe at the line of scrimmage just barely?
I'm not sure if it was tipped. I just know it was a busted screen to Connor, and Hodges just tried to find a secondary option. Usually on these screenplays, there are other options built into the play if the look isn't there, but it was just a busted screen pass that, just kind of he tried to make a play out of.
Yeah, watching it one last time here and to see what DeCastro's. I guess Connor couldn't get out in the route.
Oh yeah, it was 100% a screen pass. It was designed to Connor middle screen.
And that threw off the timing. It just looked like a botch right from the get go there. So hard to kind of hit that on him trying to go with a kind of a second read on that. And the timing and all is thrown off on that. All right, the third one was the out route was the comeback route to Johnson that you just talked about. Absolutely a great throw, great timing all the way around. That ball got up on Deante Johnson so quick. I think that kind of led to him maybe fumbling it, because he kind of has to cradle that one up high there, makes a catch. I got to be honest with you, I thought that was going to be ruled an incomplete pass. I didn't think he had it put away long enough. But back to Hodges again, was a great throw. The next one, what a great play design on the and play call in the situation there. 2nd and 6 from the Baltimore 15 to run, kind of a misdirection, leaking Vance McDonald out of the formation, to the left side there, and Hodges kind of rolled out that side and really put it right on him. The throw a little bit low, but I mean, I'm not gonna nail him on that. It was just a great play call, great execution all the way around.
Yeah, and rolling to his left, making, I think, overall an accurate throw, getting the ball out quick. Easy play, but a good design and good throw and catch.
All right, the next one, fourth quarter play, 1st and 10 from the Steelers 15. The deep pass across the middle to Juju on what looks like another kind of Yankee concept. But they sure have seemed to like to run that as of late, right? And this one, however, I thought Hodges could have done a better job of getting the ball out quicker to Juju as he cleared the defender over on that side there. I thought Hodges didn't see it quick enough. That led to the ball coming out a little bit late there. The throw ended up being behind Juju, and Juju had to make a great catch on it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about him probably needing to get the ball out quicker, but I like when he did throw it, I think he kind of had to throw it behind.
Sure he did.
Clear the underneath.
Sure, because the other guy on the other side, that's going to be picked off if he puts that on the money.
Right. So I agree the ball probably could have come out a tick quicker, but I thought when he did throw, he actually showed good ball placement to get the ball in there and also not get Juju lit up if he would have let him in front of that one. So I actually think in a way the ball placement was good. The timing of the route probably could have been better.
Sure, I'm not digging him on the ball. I'm not digging him on the ball placement. I'm digging him on that ball could have been out earlier.
Yep, I agree.
And if he does that too, maybe Juju picks up another 10, 15 yards after the catch. So that's of course speculation there. But as you said, it's hard to knock a completed pass down the field with a young quarterback, because what have we been hollering about when it comes to these young quarterbacks? Push the ball down the field, and he did that on top of just. And look, I'm not dinging him too much on the in-helmet experience, just getting in the game there. His first NFL action there, based on the amount of limited reps he's probably received in practice. All that's forgivable. I think when it comes to that particular play. Now, the next play, kind of not so forgivable. That was, for starters there, that was a 2nd and 8 play from the Steelers' 35-yard line about midway through the fourth quarter there. At the snap, if he wants him, he can take a small profit, I think, underneath in the middle of the field with Johnny Holton sitting down. He chose not to. He extended the play, which I have no problem with, moving out of the pocket to his right. That said, him making that throw on the run across his body back into the meat of the field to Nick Vannett down the field 21 yards. And there's I looked at this just to cover my butt here. I looked at this several times. There's no way he saw the defensive holding penalty or flag being thrown before he made this pass. It was just a bad decision on his part to I hate to use the pun, throw up a wounded duck, so to speak. And Earl Thomas came down with it. So I think he got away with one there.
Yeah, it was a good learning experience because you had the penalty that nullified the interception of what would have been a horrible outcome. Earl Thomas showed Devlin Hodges what happens when you so late across your body, middle of the field in the NFL. Now, Thomas wasn't covering Vannett initially. He was covering a vertical route, but as the play extended, Thomas great range, great closing speed. The guy covering Vannett was Tony Jefferson, who unfortunately suffered a pretty devastating knee injury on the play. So Vannett was open for a while, but ball came out too late, middle of the field, and Thomas made him pay.
Yeah, don't throw across your body, go running away, not having a base or anything like that. And he didn't, and he got away with one, and learning experience for him there. The next one, a very nice kind of, I guess, dig route to Juju Smith-Schuster coming across the middle of the field, ball right on the money. I thought, against a blitz at that. Be able to pick that up all the way around. Just a good play, solid play all the way around, and once again, the ball on the money.
And great job to whoever set the protection. I know Hodges is part of that. I don't know exactly how that operated on that particular play, but a full slide to the left and then the back coming across to pick up the DB. Then with another guy coming in, ball's got to come out hot. Great job with the protection and a great throw.
All right, the next one, probably a ball that he should have never thrown. An incomplete deep left pass to Deante Johnson that, quite honestly, had Deante Johnson not pushed, I think it was Canada there in the end zone to kind of interrupt his psyche there, that might get picked off in the end zone. That seemed to be a kind of a post corner route for Johnson against what looks like maybe a cover 3 zone look or whatnot, or cover 1 maybe. It's hard to really tell in that instance there, but the corner in Canada's case continued to gain depth there with the one middle safety in the middle of the field there. That throw really, in my opinion, was never there to make. Really, there probably wasn't anything there, but if he was going to go downfield in that instance, maybe he has Juju Smith-Schuster coming up kind of over underneath in kind of a shorter post pattern there.
Yeah, nothing really open. Maybe you could hit the check down to the corner, let him make a play. Nothing really there. But again, I do appreciate Hodges being able to air it out, even though it wasn't maybe the best decision and certainly not a good outcome. I like that fearless approach of just, hey, let's go ahead and sling this thing.
41 pass yard distance on that one as well. Let's see. The next one here was the incomplete pass to the short left to Jalen Samuels there on one of those kind of quick angle routes from Samuels lined up outside. Ball right on the money there. Jalen Samuels got to make that catch. Now that was a 2nd and 17 play because it was the play after Johnson was called for the pass interference. So you're backed up there. It probably not a wide. You got to try to make a little bit of a profit there to get yourself maybe in a more manageable 3rd down situation. And even if Samuels catches this, what's he going to get? Maybe 2 or 3 yards at most there. But all that said, I really saw nothing wrong with the decision from Devlin Hodges on that pass. And Samuels just looked up. Bad hand placement, just bad all the way around on Jalen Samuels' part.
Yep, got to help your quarterback, got to make that catch.
All right, the next one was the ensuing 3rd and 17 play, and I have no issue with this because the Ravens were saying you're not going to beat us over the top here. Kind of a quick kind of slant crossing route to Deante Johnson over the middle. Devlin Hodges hit him in stride, got as much yak as he possibly could out of it, and you're punting from around midfield. So I have no issue at all with that play call or with the execution on Hodges' part.
Yep, I'm with you.
The next play would have been down in the red zone. This is a very interesting play here when you get into the nuts and bolts of it. 3rd and 5 from the Ravens 13-yard line in the 4th quarter with 3:27 left. This was that kind of bucket pass floater, if you will, to Jalen Samuels over to the left-hand side. You want to talk about how one play, Alex, sometimes can make a difference in a game? I think you really got to circle this play, and you got to hand it to Anthony Levine on this play for his athleticism to get over there and get Samuels right after this pass is completed. And on top of it, I think you got to ding Deante Johnson on this play because if either he or Vance McDonald, I really think the onus was more on Deante Johnson on this play to get underneath and effectively kind of rub Levine off in some aspects. If Levine cannot shoot under and have the direct line on this, if he's forced to go over the top, this is probably a completion for positive yards. B, it's probably a completion for a 1st down. Or C, he gets into the end zone for a touchdown here. Based on all, you have to understand that Hodges had to kind of float this to get it up over the defensive lineman on the play. That, of course, gave Levine a little bit more time to make the beeline over there. But I have no issues with Hodges or his throw on this play. The person I take issue with here on the most is Deante Johnson. If you watch his reaction after the play, too, I think you can tell him, see him kind of saying to himself, oh man, I messed up there.
Yeah, I'm not sure on this one. You'd have to compare it to the other 3rd and short completion where they hit Samuels for the 1st down when Rudolph was still in the game to see how that one was designed. It's hard to try to anticipate the pick happening because if Levine just takes the right angle or too sharp of an angle, I mean, what can you do as a receiver? I had Johnson being open on that play. McDonald's actually setting like more of a rub on Johnson on the curl, and because Levine expands to the flat, you got to read the flat defender there, and because he expands, to take the back, I think Hodges might want to hit the curl on this play, and I don't know if it's going to be a touchdown, but I think it's going to be a 1st down. So I'd have to go back through the other play that was like this and kind of compare and contrast, but I thought Johnson was actually open on this play. Maybe that's why he was frustrated because he could have gotten the 1st down.
Yeah, I kind of viewed it more as him needing to cut his route more up underneath there. I mean, Levine, make no mistake about it, Levine made a great play here. I'm not convinced that. I mean, because I'm looking at this thing run over and over and over again there. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of a pivot route for Johnson, though.
Well, he's just sitting down, and McDonald's over the top trying to like basically wall that off. I mean, it's just a curl flat combination. So I don't know. I thought Hodges could have hit Deante Johnson there. Because if you're just reading the curl flat defender, and if he expands to the flat, then you throw in the curl. If he sits, and you throw to the flat. And there's pressure, obviously, ball's got to get out quick, but I thought Hodges could have made potentially a better read on this play. But again, I would need to go back to the other Samuels play to see how that one looked and compare that to this one.
I mean, when Johnson is sitting down, Alex, Levine is right there in front of him.
Well, yeah, you put that guy ideally you put the guy in conflict. If he's going to the flat, then you're gonna hit Johnson because Levine's gonna get past you really really quickly.
Yeah, I don't think with that defensive end coming in on that play.
Sure. I know the ball's gonna get out quick. I just don't know if like Johnson was mad that he didn't pick his guy because I don't know how much you can trust that. Plus, you don't want to obviously get called for OPI. They're calling that a ton this year. So I don't know. Again, I would have you gone back and looked at the other play like this, the Samuels catch for a first down, and compared it to this one?
No.
Okay, I'd have to do that before I give you a better answer. It's one of those messy plays though, for sure.
But I mean, if Levine is another second or two behind in his conflict and his decision to get out there, then that's going for a first down at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at least a first down.
What'd you think about the ball placement? Fine, considering the circumstance?
Yeah, he's got to throw it over. I mean, what can you do? I'm fine with that.
All right, on the final pass of the game, which unfortunately ended in a fumble there. Once again, you have Juju Smith-Schuster coming across the formation there, and the ball maybe a tiny bit behind, but definitely one that Juju needs to catch and get tucked away there. Especially Marlon Humphrey had been hunting that ball all throughout the game there when it comes to plays such as that. So I have no issue with Devlin Hodges on that play.
Yeah, but a tiny bit behind, but still, I think overall on the money, and certainly Juju's at fault on that play. Did you see Ben trying to will the ball out of bounds? That made me laugh.
All right, summary on this. For an NFL debut, I thought Hodges certainly passed the eye test against the Ravens. He pushed the ball down the field and for the most part was accurate with a high percentage of his throws, as you would probably expect with a rookie undrafted quarterback in his first official NFL action. Hodges was far from perfect on Sunday. He had 2 pass attempts that probably should have resulted in interceptions. The one that was intercepted could have been a disastrous for the Steelers had that play not been wiped out by a defensive holding penalty. I don't think Hodges saw the flag being thrown on that play to think that he had a free, kind of heave downfield there in that situation there. There were a few throws that Hodges probably should have got the football out quicker on, but with the limited amount of reps he's likely been getting in practice on Sunday, being his NFL debut, that is understandable. Once again, Hodges did represent himself well on Sunday and against the Ravens. If not for the Smith-Schuster fumbling in overtime, there's a decent chance we could be talking about a Steelers win this week and them now leading the AFC North Division.
One crazy thing that I had a reader ask about today, so I checked it just to see. Bill Parcells' rules for, college quarterbacks and their NFL success, 6-7 rules that he has. You talk about that all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Hodges checks every single box.
Does he really?
Yeah, the starts, the wins, the 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, 70% or 60% completion percentage. Hodges was 70%. I mean, it's FCS level, obviously, so you might be grading on a curve to some extent, but he does check every single box. 30+ starts, all that stuff. I'm
trying to find out. Did you go through the whole list of 7 there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Did it this morning.
Okay.
I'm assuming he has the wins. Just because it's 2015, he started like 3/4 of the season. I'm pretty sure he got to the 23 wins mark. Because he had 21 from 2016 to 2018, and he needed 2 more in 2015, which I imagine that he got.
Man, I'm trying to pull up the full list of the 7. Here it is here. I think he just probably ran. Okay, must be a 3-year starter.
Which he was.
All right, be a senior in college.
Which he was.
Graduate from college.
Which he did.
Start 30 games.
Which he has 45 games listed on his stats. He's a 3-year starter. I'm almost positive it's at least 30 starts.
Win 23 games.
I had 21 in his 3 years of full-time starting, and then he played 9 games in 2015. I think they won like 6 games, so I'm assuming he got 2 of those out of that.
Post a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
111 touchdowns, 41 interceptions.
Career completion rate of 60% or higher.
Hodges came in at 69.1 career.
Woo, good on you. Good on you.
Well, thanks for the listener that asked about it. Just made me go down a rabbit hole. So whatever, that's not that it's worth a ton, but hey, Bill Parcells would say, yeah, I'm not surprised that guy's succeeding.
I'm looking back here. I had this thing. It's been running in the background now for months here. I'm trying to download the 2019 Monday night game from the Jets and Dolphins, in which Bill Parcells first talks about that. I will be the
Where
first.
did you even find that?
Man, you know how it is.
What a rabbit hole
Yeah,
you
you
go
go down the
yeah.
rabbit holes and you find out where that kind of stuff started. Because you know me, I don't just like to kind of read sometimes because you get away from the original information. Sometimes the original information changes,
Sure.
or gets relayed differently. Fourth, fifth,
the old telephone game. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. There. So, man, I have that thing at 58.2%. I need a couple more seaters to put that thing on the torrents here. Maybe by the end of the season, I'll have that downloaded there. That's a good call, Alex. I mean, I don't know how much we should read into it, but it's a good call.
It's worth mentioning, I think. Again, I think Bill Parcells would say, yeah, I'm not surprised that guy's succeeding. So again, there's a mentality with Hodges that's uncommon for a rookie, but I think he's played in big moments before. He had big moments in college, nearly upset Florida State as a senior, had success. It's obviously a surprise to see any rookie come in and play like this, much less one that was a UDFA, a Trout guy back here in May. But you got to be impressed by what he's doing.
All right, what are you doing with him Sunday night now?
Well, you can't play a shell. You got to let him air it out. I think you kind of have the offense mostly the same, to be honest with you. I mean, he knows the playbook. He's been in the system enough throughout camp and the offseason that this isn't new concepts to him, even though he was out for the first week of the season off the roster. But I think you obviously going to be careful with him, manage him, put him in spots to succeed. But I don't think you need to micromanage this and cause him to be checked on Charlie. I think you got to let him play as Devlin Hodges.
I'm with you, and if you ask the kid the same thing at this point, look, this might be his one shot. I mean,
yeah,
he's lucky to even get this shot right now. And you know what? If this is my one shot, I'm gonna go out my guns blazing, man. Especially someone like him. I mean, he has shown that he's he's talking about the interview the other day is that Ben says I'm fearless, and I think maybe that's one thing that you picked up there during training camp is his willingness to throw the football. He's not scared of it. He's going to take his shots, and I think the interception against the Ravens is kind of a testament to that. Now, would we like to see less of that kind of thing here? Absolutely here, but I don't think he's afraid to. Here's the thing: if he can speed up his process and a little bit more, and here's the good thing. He got almost a full half of football, 12 throws, many more plays than that to kind of get settled into this thing now. So this is not going to be the newest of new for him Sunday night. He's going to go in there and talk to Randy, and I put this on Twitter a couple of days ago. If I'm Randy and I sit down with him and I'm a 1-4 team right now, I go to Devlin and say, what exactly do you like to run? And let's run it, plain and simple, because you got to let him be him in this situation. And once again, you're 1-4. What do you have to lose here?
Yeah, I think that's a great mentality to have. Let's just go for it. Let's not play scared. Hodges doesn't play scared, so let's not have our offense reflect that. He's got a Shane Falco replacements kind of vibe going on here, Dave, if you're familiar. It's a great movie. So, he's there's kind of like one shot. Who knows if we'll ever get a chance like this again. Let's just go in there and sling it and play I Will Survive in the End Zone after the game, I guess.
Either that or
Hodges will do.
Either that or that Eminem song, I don't even know what the name of that song is. One shot, chance to prove it, don't lose it. I forget how the lyrics go in there.
So I'm doing Aretha Franklin. You're on Eminem. I think the tables have turned here in a way that most people wouldn't expect.
Man, can you imagine if this kid wins this thing?
Man. Again, 5 months ago, he was a tryout guy beating out Brogan Roback for a spot. Now he's starting Sunday night primetime football.
I put
Crazy.
this on Twitter last night. I went down a couple rabbit holes here. I mean, Devlin Hodges will reach folk hero status if he beats the Chargers Sunday night. Kyle Allen, Matt McGloin, and Max Hall are the last three true rookie, undrafted quarterbacks who have won their first career starts.
Wow, that is. Well, Kyle Allen's playing well. McGloin and Max Hall were short-lived stars, but Hodges will get a Permanente sandwich named after him if he wins Sunday. I'll tell you that.
Boy, I don't know how accurate this is. I mean, it's off Pro Football Reference and searching there. But Devlin Hodges would become just the third Steelers quarterback to win a first career start as a true rookie Sunday night. Ben Roethlisberger in 2004 and Mike Krusek in 1976. So once again, don't hold me to that. But I mean that's according to the best you can filter out the searches and all when Pro Football Reference there. Krusek in that 1976 game against the Bengals. Alex, hold on to your hat here. 5 of 12 for 58 yards with 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, a long of 19. He had a 22.2 quarterback rating in that game, and the Steelers won.
Well, I will take that performance from Hodges if I get the 76 Steelers defense at the same time, because that was, to me, maybe the best of all the Steel Curtain defenses. So this defense is good, but it's not quite at that level.
The defense is going to have to play well in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to play well the rest of the season, no matter what's going on at quarterback, but they're the strength of this team, but absolutely they're going to have to create some splash plays, create some short fields for the offense.
I mean, we're talking now about the boomerang also coming around this week to Deante Moncrief. You're going to assume he's going to dress this week, right?
Yep, I think he's going to dress, and Switzer may play more, and Juju's got the toe, and a lot going on. Not much of a good.
You hope that you can run the ball with some success, and against that Chargers defense, I think you kind of should be expected to have a little bit of run success in this game.
Yep. Benny Snell, we'll get maybe a good time to talk about Benny Snell. He's got to step up and make some plays too.
Have no fear, everybody. Benny Snell Jr. ran some Wildcat at Kentucky.
Yeah, maybe they're going to bring that back. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, what else? You want to get down? What else stuck out to you in the game against the Ravens after us going through the All-22?
Well, do you want to talk about Tomlin some more and talk about? Of course, he was asked about his interest in the Washington job in the report. Do you have the quote on that by chance?
I do have by chance have the quote on that here. If you give me a minute to pull it up here, he said he was asked about. How surprised were you to hear that you were a preferred candidate to be the next coach of the Washington Redskins? He says, I'm not worried about that, to be quite honest with you. You were the first person to mention it to me in a public setting. Kind of a weird response there. And then props to whoever asked that question, firing back to him. He said, well, what was your reaction in a private setting? He says, about the same I'm giving you. He says, guys, I am the head coach of a 1-4 football team that is going on the road to play a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback with my third quarterback. He let it slip, didn't he? That he's going to be playing with his third quarterback there.
I guess, yeah.
He says, you think I'm worried about anything this week other than that?
Yeah, I mean, I would have just preferred no truth, not interested kind of thing.
Me
but
too.
Tomlin always gives kind of the weird answers to the questions he doesn't like, and I think he's not in control of the situation, obviously, because the report is just that Washington likes him. What can he do about that? I mean, that's just either they like him or they don't. That's nothing Tomlin can do about that or is in charge of anything there. I think he just gave a very Tomlin answer to a question that he just wants to dismiss.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on how you want to parse this and narrate it, right?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is I'm not even thinking about that stuff right now because Tomlin's not going anywhere for the next couple months at least, and we'll deal with everything else after the season.
After thinking about it a little bit, I still don't see it happening. But, I mean, I would have never thought the Minka trade would have happened either there. For him to become the head coach of the Redskins, A, he'd have to get fired, or B, he'd have to be traded. And what is rightful compensation for him?
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that. You can go back to the precedent of what happened with Gruden and I think Mike Holmgren and Herm Edwards at some point, but I'm not even starting to think about any of that stuff. And again, a lot of this is out of his control. Does Washington want him? Well, that's it's not something that Tomlin can control. Did the Steelers want to trade him? That's not something that Tomlin can really be in control of. I guess he would have to okay or reasonably should okay any sort of move like that, but I think Tomlin dismissed it because it's not anything it's not anything he's obviously worried about right now. And B, it's not something really that's in his control too much.
And if Daniel Snyder's out there telling people that Mike Tomlin's on his short list there, then there's probably some tampering charges to be filed there.
Yeah, I don't really know. I again, it's the least of my worries right now. I don't have any expectation that that's actually going to happen. That I think Tomlin will be your coach in 2020.
Damn it, I was pressed by Dave Weekly on his show yesterday several times about that, and I kept saying, man, I said, Dave, I said, man, I can't even get my mind to even go there to think about, because really, I just don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so because he was needling me, I'm going to needle you on it a little bit there.
Who do I get to needle?
Nobody.
All right.
All right. What else stuck out from the press conference there?
Yeah, Snell elevating into that number 2 role. Tomlin said Snell's chomping at the bit to get more snaps. He certainly will over the next month while Samuels misses. Kind of a similar downhill run style. The offense will be more limited though. Samuels, someone you could split out, run more pass concepts. Obviously, you really can't do that with Snell, who has some decent hands, but it's not the receiver that Samuels is. So I'm worried about just the limitations on this offense. This time last year playing the Chargers, we talked about the limitations on defense, having the injuries. Tomlin blaming lack of sub-package players that got linebackers on receivers. This year you might be talking about limitations on offense and how you just couldn't do a whole lot because of the circumstance with all the injuries this team's having.
Defensively on the All-22, this team played extremely well, except for maybe one series or so in the fourth quarter there, which really maybe might not have been wasn't their fault. Why don't you tell us about what Keith Butler did?
Yeah, you'll have to check the video out better on Steelers Depot. But the last drive the Ravens had in the fourth quarter, the Steelers start that one out in nickel, which was surprising because I thought they would go dime in obvious pass situations. Baltimore's got to move the ball quickly, got to get in field goal range. But okay, they're in nickel, fine. They get to about the Steelers, I believe, 40-yard line facing, I think, a 2nd and 7. And then the Steelers go dime all of a sudden out of the 2-minute warning. Ravens hadn't changed personnel grouping. They were still in their 3-receiver set. So for some reason, despite them being on the edge of field goal range in a manageable situation with still, I think, like a minute 56 left, 2 timeouts, couldn't call anything. The Steelers are in dime in full-blown pass mode. I mean, Devin Bush is backing off on the snap, and there's no one in the box at all. So Mark Ingram gets an easy 6 yards to set up a 3rd and 1. Crucial play, obviously. So Keith Butler tries to switch to his base defense. Can't get guys out there in time. It's a mess. No one set up or lined up correctly. No one to protect the edge. Lamar Jackson has a read option to pick up the first down and set up the game-tying field goal to send it into overtime. So I thought Butler overall called a good game, but that situation was very mishandled by Keith Butler. I think it proved costly.
I thought the secondary played great in this game. I thought Mike Hilton played good. I thought Cameron Sutton, in his limited snaps, played good. Steven Nelson, Mike Tomlin did a lot of praising of both Nelson and Minkah Fitzpatrick during his press conference on Tuesday. Both guys are professional. Both guys are really low maintenance. Both guys are very good preparers. The things that they do, their personal relationships with the game, to watch them move around during the course of the work week, how they take notes, the things that they do and walk through and in practice, they are both low maintenance in that regard. They take a mature approach to prep, and I think that is why they are capable of delivering consistent varsity performance. I still think they are getting to know both guys. But obviously we have a larger sample size of Nelson than we do Minkah, but really positive reviews of both so far. Boy, what a difference maybe one guy can add to that defense in Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, that play with Mark Andrews over the center that led to the Cameron Kelly interception there. One of those things that helps interrupt in the middle of the field where the Steelers have had a lot of problems. And that results in the ball bouncing up and balls up in the air can get picked off.
Yeah, I think his instincts, ability to drive on the football, close on the football. Just watch his feet. I mean, just how clean his steps are. There's no false step. There's no wasted motion. It just plant and get downhill right away. Compare that to Edmonds, who's a little bit sloppier, a little bit more mechanical, and needs some more steps to try to break and get downhill. So I just think his feet and his instincts of Fitzpatrick are really impressive. And I said this, and I know it's a bold statement, but I honestly think it's true. He's got the best instincts of any Steelers safety since Troy. Now, he's not as good as Troy. Let's be very clear about that. But since Troy, there's been no Steelers safety with as good read and react and see to do as Minka Fitzpatrick.
Mike Tomlin was asked if Steven Nelson misses time. Is it Artie Burns that steps up? He says, again, we will see. I'm not ready to count Nelson out at this juncture, so I don't want to get into speculation. So that rolls back to us starting the podcast talking about Steven Nelson and being questionable and Mike Tomlin not necessarily ruin him out. God help, I don't want to see Keenan Allen and some of those receivers they have over there. I'd much rather have Steven Nelson in this game. I'm sure you would too.
Yeah, I think I don't know who else would take the other argument there. Yeah, Steven Nelson hopefully can play Sunday.
All right. What else on all 22? Boy, you keep going back and you watch that first Wildcat play over and over again on the all 22 on the pass by Jalen Samuels. The outcome and all such unneeded in that situation there and a big early turning point in the game for what is the max profit going to be on that play? 10 yards, if you're lucky,
not even
if you break a tackle,
yeah,
and stretch the ball out 10 yards. I mean, the reward just did not match the risk, especially early in the ball game and especially deep in your own end of the field. I'd much rather him get tackled for just run the damn football and get tackled for a 2-yard loss than something like that. And just the profit was not there, and you're shooting your gun already as far as a possible wildcat pass and all like that. You have, I know it happened early in the game, but along with that play with Levine late in the game that we talked about there on the pass to Samuels, I think you really got to circle this play.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's just a bad call. Just the risk reward. The reward was not worth the risk of your running back trying to throw it. I don't know what the big gain there was going to be. So yeah, I mean, that was just a base one. I will say, and you pointed this out well on Twitter, is that the other Wildcat play we criticized, that 2nd and 1 in the second half, that lost 5 yards and Rudolph was sacked on 3rd down and turned it into a 4th and 17. Samuel should have gotten downhill quicker on that play. I don't know if he would get the first down. He probably would have, but he's got to show better vision there and just plant that foot and get downhill.
Just get the profit there, right?
Yeah. Follow your block. Yeah, I mean, they had 7 offensive linemen in that play too, which was
that was the
fun
one
start.
snap that Finney played.
He's playing like a wingback.
I mean, why? Sometimes you get too damn cute in this stuff, you know.
Yep.
What down?
Yeah, Butler got too cute at the end of that game, and Fichtner did as well. What down was that?
What down was that in distance?
It was 2nd and 1.
2nd and 1. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a second one? Well, I thought it was longer than that.
Nope. Because remember, it turned into the 3rd and forever, or 3rd and 6, and Rudolph got sacked for making 4th and 17.
That's right.
That's why it was so frustrating, because it was like, let's get a yard. I mean, Fichtner literally a week ago said if you can't get a yard with your running back just kind of getting downhill with the whole quarterback sneak debate thing, he said if you can't get a yard, then that's on you, and that's what he calls. But again, I thought Samuels could have just gotten downhill. He tried to bounce it and didn't really follow his blocks too well.
Yeah, but you get too many moving parts in there that are not used to being in there on top of it. You know?
Sure. I mean, that's fair point.
Circle that one too. I mean, big play in the game there.
The Johnny Holton reverse where he cut inside for some reason that I'll never understand, when he could have kept that outside and probably scored on that play if he keeps it outside. I think the Steelers got a touchdown out of it anyway, but still, that was just a bad decision by Holton. So just a lot of backup parts trying to make a big play and trying to do too much.
Right. Okay. What else stuck out on tape offensively? I mean, we broke down a lot of the plays from Hodges there. They probably could have been a little bit more, I guess, dedicated throughout the game, maybe to trying to run, especially to the right side there. But I mean, overall, I thought it was okay. I thought Rudolph was playing well, even on the play that he got injured on. What a great job of him getting that ball out and down the field to Washington there. So, you hate to keep going back to, sometimes it's just one or two plays that can decide a ball game. Well, it definitely was in this case, and there's about 3 or 4 of them that you can circle here. And I mean, obviously, if Juju does not fumble, that it would be interesting to see if they could have got, let's say, another 15 yards. And I don't doubt that they probably could have. And then you get in field goal range to win the game.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot for the offense possession downs. I mean, they were 3-9, and that was a good improvement based on where they had been overall for the season. So they're still bad on possession downs. That's still probably the big sticking point for me is this team cannot succeed on third down.
Well, one of them was the third after the that we talked about, the 3rd and 17 or 16 or whatever it was. Where, I mean, what do you really want them to do in that situation there?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get some of that, but you're also in some third manageable situations too, where you need to convert and they aren't. So it's not about just one particular play.
Right.
Everyone has, even the best teams have 3rd and long sometimes, but it's about converting the ones that you can't convert. Again, I don't know what the numbers are post game, but before the Ravens game, they were like 7th in the league in 3rd down yards to go, and they were 29th in 3rd down conversion, and they're probably in a similar story this week. So it's manageable, makeable situations if you're just not converting.
Tomlin talked again about how good Justin Tucker was, and he was. I mean, we went into this thing knowing. I know Brian Baldinger jumped on this as well too with a video breakdown as well. I don't know. Are we going to see any changes on? I got on my soapbox the other day, Alex. I mean, is it just going to be the same thing here?
Well, if you get some healthy guys back, Chick and Nix are both part of the kick return team, and both have been out, obviously. I broke this thing down, I think, pretty well, and I have obviously everyone wants to jump on Switzer and Holton, and sure, they got to do things better. Holton probably really shouldn't have taken out that first kick, the opening kickoff 2 yards deep out of his own end zone, but the blocking was terrible. I mean, there's just no chance for these guys to make plays. I mean, it hurts to say, but LJ Fort wrecked the Steelers in terms of kick coverage. He would just run down everything to feet and every single block. So you had a lot of miscues by the blocking up front that just gave these guys no chance. Like, I don't care if you put Devin Hester back there on some of these returns. It's just not blocked well at all, and no one's getting space, and no one's creating a lane. So I think the blocking is honestly more of an issue right now than it is the return men themselves.
Yeah, LJ Fort was wearing them as a hat there,
Yep.
and just got picked up too. Don't tell me back into the roster linebackers that can excel on special teams don't matter.
All right. Well, the other guy they signed, Josh Bynes, started and then picked off Jalen Samuels early in that game. So, they're getting all these help at linebacker.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, you would have liked to had LJ Fort back at the minimum, right? But you can't blame him from going out there and trying to get that money from the Eagles. They obviously parted ways with him a couple weeks ago. But, I mean, the Ravens have themselves a fine special teams player now on a team that doesn't need help much on special teams.
Mm-hmm. But again, I think the blocking is the number one issue right now with the return game. I think it's easy to pin it on Switzer and Holton, and again, they got things they got to work on, but the blocking is a mess, and it's been a mess for too long. And until that gets cleaned up, then the return guys are never going to have a chance.
Well, maybe Nix and Chicklow, if they can get back this week, can make a difference in that phase as well.
Yeah, I think it'll help, but I mean, they've been part of this unit for a while now, and this unit's been bad for the last 3 years. So there's also that aspect to it. It's been bad really no matter what combination of people you put out there, and then that will eventually, circle back on Danny Smith and the job he's doing.
Yeah, Danny Smith might not be forever, Alex.
In my heart, at least, but we'll see after the season.
All right,
we'll see.
What else do we have here?
That was about it for me. I wanted to touch on the kick return game, and I think that was everything that I had. I can look over my notes here briefly. Do you have anything else? Any other thoughts from this game?
Not anything that I think stuck out to me real quick here. Going over some of this other stuff that Tomlin talked about here. No, I mean, look, it boils down to this. You got an extremely tough task that almost seems like too tough of a task going into on the road where the Steelers just don't play well out on the West Coast in the Pacific time zone, down a running back, down a receiver, on your third string rookie undrafted free agent quarterback there against a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in Phillip Rivers. I mean, why not predict the Steelers win in this one, right?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We'll have our beat writer on for Friday's show, by the way, talking about the Chargers. Other thoughts that I had, Stephon Tuitt just might be the best player on this defense, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of good ones out there. Bud Dupree's run defense is at an all-time high. The pass
Javon
protection by the
Hargrave.
running backs were good. Jalen Samuels.
Javon Hargrave playing good too.
Yeah. I mean, everyone on defense is playing well, but Tuitt is just literally unblockable. He was just whipping on Marshall Yonda. He was a great guard. Maybe Yonda's getting a little older in age. I'm not sure. But, yeah, Bud Dupree, too. I want to give credit to him. His run defense has been superb. So hats off to him. And Mike Hilton, a little tough gamer. This guy's fearless, and I appreciate that.
Vince Williams stuck out on a couple. I mean, kind of, not necessarily so much in the stat book, but being able to get some penetration to force some backs to do some other things in that game stuck out 2 times, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know what to make of it, but the defense seemed to play better once Mark Barron went out and Vince came in. I don't know if that means anything or not, but I thought Vince had a great game, had a sack, and he's a better energy guy. He's a better communicator, a better blitzer, a better tackler, and I think honestly similar in coverage than Mark Barron. So like, why not play Vince, more than Mark Barron?
Yeah, got it. He hustles too.
Yeah, that too. Also, Vince should be on the kick return. He should be on that blocking unit. I would put him out there.
Yeah, that might be an option for him as well, too. All right, I don't think we left any stone unturned there. Very interested, obviously, to see Devlin Hodges play Sunday night, to see how that goes there.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think he's going to shrink to the moment, but who knows? Now he's got a little bit of tape out there. He's got to go West Coast. You don't know, but I think I'm as comfortable with him as I would be than any other UDFA rookie.
All right, shall we get to some emails here?
Let's do it.
All right, Matt Baker writes in. This one's titled Theory. Amazing show. Thanks and always for the good work, Dave and Alex. Is it true that Dan Snyder's plane was spotted in Pittsburgh? I don't see. In theory, could you see Pittsburgh trading Tomlin to the Redskins? I've read people saying it's possible since his son goes to Maryland. And was wondering your input also. If they do, would be nice to get us a first rounder back. Matthew, I don't know anything about this plane, Daniel Snyder plane thing. We already talked about the whole time. My mind can't even go there. I just can't fathom it right now. I suppose it is a possibility to happen, but it's not. I just can't see it happening this season. It would have to be after the season, and I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around it happening.
Yeah, all we're going off of is a report that Dan Snyder likes Mike Tomlin. That means the Steelers are going to trade Mike Tomlin to, I like Bill Belichick. Is Bill Belichick going to get traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers? No, it takes 2 to tango here. So there's no evidence the Steelers have any interest in doing that. For the plane thing, yeah, I saw the tweet from NFL insider Leroy or whatever that was. Who knows if that's even true? I tried to search it. I couldn't find anything. And they can't talk to Tomlin during the season. Not that Tomlin would talk to them during the season or ownership. This wouldn't happen today. So I don't give that report any credibility.
Yeah, I don't. And it's news to me that is a talking point right now. I missed that on Twitter somehow.
Wow.
But I just don't see how that's possible.
It was like that Barstool PFT commentator. Not that it was him, but it was their Barstool's insider dog. It's the internet. It's weird. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, this one's entitled Duck from Jonathan Mason. Alex and Dave, why do y'all think that there has been a more optimistic outlook when it comes to Duck playing over Mason? Specifically, Mike Pursuta is singing his praises. Dave, I thought your contextualization on Duck's throws in the last game was great. Thank you, Jonathan. Put a lot of time in that. To me, it points out the biggest difference between him and Mason. While I love his confidence pushing the ball down the field, more will come with more interceptions and more boom or bust type of game than with Mason. Thanks. Look, we can't have it both ways though, Jonathan. Here, we can't say we want him to push the ball down the field, but not take a few chances in there. I just wanted to make sure that I properly contextualized the point that there were 2 throws that he made that probably should have been interceptions. And what would the narrative be, Alex, right now on Duck Hodges if 2 of those throws were intercepted?
Yeah, that he was your typical rookie and over his head.
They weren't. They're not going to show up in the stat book that way, but those were 2 throws that needed pointing out. There, he got away with both of them. Okay, good. I'm not down on the guy whatsoever, as we talked. That's why I wanted to go all the way back to training camp with Alex to rewind the process that we've had on him. And I thought, it's great that Alex pointed out, too, the Parcells 7 rules when it comes to quarterback. I think that's absolutely fantastic to add on top of that. This guy's got a lot going against him. I mean, obviously his height and all plays into that as well there. So I guess to answer the first part of the question, why do y'all think that there's been a more optimistic outlook when it comes to Duck playing over Mason? I think this boils back to the whole fanaticism thing and fans always liking and want to be able to say that the rookie, that guy at the bottom end, the bottom end of the depth chart is the guy that should play.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's just an expectations thing. I mean, there were no expectations for Devlin Hodges to do well. There never has been at the NFL level, aside from his own personal expectations. So him just coming in and making plays is just fun because you didn't think he would. And obviously Rudolph is a high draft pick, big pedigree guy, basically considered the heir to Ben Roethlisberger. So he's under more scrutiny when he makes plays. You think, okay, well, he's supposed to make those plays because he's supposed to be the next franchise guy. So I think there's an expectations game of why people kind of like Hodges and talk about him more or have more of a optimistic look. But Rudolph's played well. I mean, let's be very clear about that. And he was playing well in that Ravens game too. So I don't want to pretend like Rudolph has been struggling and Hodges is coming in and lighting it up. So I think Rudolph could have put this team in a very similar situation had he finished out on this game too. So I think it's just really an expectations game of the new guy, the rookie, the underdog story everyone loves, and that's why people get all in a tizzy about Duck Hodges. Plus, he's embracing kind of the Duck side of it too, which is fun to see. So I respect that.
It's the new toy. It's the It's the under Duck roll. They're gonna be puns galore. In fact, I want the headline of the Daniel recap post to be Steelers Duck Chargers.
I liked mine yesterday. I like Duck Call. Hodges, Tomlin ready for Hodges to step in.
I want double and triple entendres, quadruple cover 4 entendres on this. Should he pull this thing off here? Look, I mean, here's the thing too. I mean, we're talking about a guy that is you had the whole Parcells thing. You had the tremendous records that he set at Samford there. Did not shrink in a moments during the preseason there. This is a guy that was still out on the street at the start of the regular season, and with all the injuries and he still could not. No team even wanted to bring him in as a number 3. Okay.
Yeah, he was adding the XFL to get signed a month ago. He's in Pittsburgh starting.
So let's not pretend like anybody saw this coming, okay? With him. It's a great story. I mean, even if he plays extremely well, this might be his one and only start of his career. I mean, you just don't know, right?
Right, don't know.
But I got to admit, it is absolutely fun to watch. I mean, for this much excitement to be in a fan base still on a 1-4 team, hey, have at it. I hope he wins. Daniel, and our email box is going to be absolutely triple full if he does on Sunday night. Duck Dynasty writes in, Daniel Wilson, quack, quack. I'm ready for the quack attack on Sunday night. I'm not getting my hopes up, but I just want to see how Hodges does. Just want to say about the Juju fumble, Humphrey made a great play, and that ball after it was punched out took a crazy bounce and then just stopped. Sometimes the ball literally just doesn't bounce your way. Humphrey tried the same play earlier in the game, and it resulted in Juju long touchdown catch, so can't be mad at Juju for that. 9 times out of 10, the ball doesn't pop out like that, but this time it did. Oh well, a couple mistakes away from being 4-1, but that's what happens when you have a young offense. It's like he says, I like our chances against the Chargers, but we'll see how it goes. Danny, that's exactly the attitude I think everybody should have right now, and I just don't see how you can be down on Juju right now. It was a tremendous play by Marlon Humphrey. Yeah, Juju needs to secure that thing up a little bit better, but I think as we pointed out on the last show, it's just unfortunate when Juju's fumbles are happening, right? Two
Mm-hmm.
of them in two
Yep.
very key moments of the game, and that magnifies it even more when it happens like that, right?
And not only two key moments of the game, two key moments of the season. These have season
Sure.
implications, so it only makes it all the more obvious and worth talking about.
But that's a great email, Danny. I wish everybody had your kind of outlook on that. Andrew writes in, guys, rewind to the early 1990s when replay was implemented to make sure wide receivers in bounds. Hindsight is 2020, but would you get rid of replay altogether? I believe it's killing the flow of the games. What say you? Where do you draw the line? And some of these replay, I mean, should we start replaying the roughing, calls? I mean, just where do you draw the line to make sure you get it right, and how long will it take to do so? I mean, you don't want 15 minutes of the game caught up in watching replays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in favor of getting replay entirely. I'm a big proponent of replay. I want to get the calls right. I just think there's a smarter, more logical, and more efficient and quicker way to do it. I don't have all the details of how I would do that. I think there's obviously a lot of work to do, but I'm in favor of making it more efficient, not getting rid of replay.
Maybe they should put 5 guys in New York. All right, teams elect. Or I don't know how I would go about doing this. Maybe have the league elect one guy, have the AFC vote and elect one guy, and have the NFC elect and vote one rules official in. Have those 3 guys sitting in New York, and it be a majority rules type of thing. What do you think about that? I mean, look, here's the thing. Dave, me, can sit in mom's basement here with my computer, and I can give you a slow-mo zoom and take issue with a lot of these plays. I could become an instant producer and show you things that maybe sometimes you're not going to see on TV. And now times me by, 12,000 people out there that are probably could do the same thing on the internet there. You're always going to have talk about some plays that people don't think got right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
What do you think about my idea about putting 3 guys in there voting on the decision?
I'm not sure about a vote. I'd like to try to get to consensus stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's got to be a more, because the NHL kind of has that too, right? With Toronto, and they have a group of there. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, I think there's got to be a smarter way. I just want to be more efficient and have some common sense to the rules and to the reviews. I don't think that's asking for too much.
There's still going to be stuff that's questioned.
Yeah, I mean that's inevitable.
But I mean, how far do we? I mean, we could probably make a whole show out of how to try to get this right. You're never going to have it 100% right, and how much do you put into replay? I understand where you're coming from, Andrew. I mean, it was a much simpler time back then because obviously you didn't have all the kind of the replays either, and angles that we're able to do now. Jay Barbardi writes in, being a Pittsburgh fan, I've been watching football only since I was 14. There was that year was 2004. We have been absolutely spoiled in the years since. Now we are having a rough patch after well over a decade of sustained success, and we're having people claiming we're the new Browns. Give me a GD break. Strangely, I'm still optimistic. 8-3 is absolutely attainable, though unlikely for a 9-7 division title. Anyway, Yinzer's going to Yinz. My question is about the quarterbacks. Will Mason be the starter when he's ready, regardless of how Duck plays? Dude is exciting. Was there a difference in play calling once Duck came in? Seemed Randy let loose once Mason left the field. I really didn't. I don't think the playbook or the game play calling and whatnot changed from Mason to Duck in that game. About your other question, what will Mason be the starter when he's ready, regardless how Duck plays? I think so.
Yeah, first The answer to that is yes. Mason will be the starter whenever he comes back. Second answer to your question is no. The playbook really did not change. Look at the Yankee concept. That was the throw from Rudolph to Juju on the touchdown. Then there was the same play on the fumble as well. The only reason why you probably saw Hodges, they passed the ball more and they passed it downfield more, was just because Hodges came in late game, tight game, down, tie game, that whole kind of stuff. So that's the only reason why you saw it, because had Rudolph been in, you would have seen the same stuff, because the game circumstance kind of forced you to start opening up the offense even more.
Caleb Winterburn writes in, hey, Dave and Alex, very disappointed you guys don't even know what a poutine is. It's fries and cheese curds covered in gravy. Very tasty. Anyways, two questions. Did you know that, Alex?
No, I think I was wrong about it last time we talked about it on a previous show.
I'm from the South, man. We just fry everything. I'm not very cultured. A lot of you might not have figured that out yet, but I am just not a very cultured person. His two questions: should the Steelers put Juju in for kick returns? He looked good doing it way back in 2017. I'm for whatever you think needs to do right now. I'd put Alex back there if I thought we could get it to midfield. Alex, your thoughts on Juju?
I know my thoughts on me being back there. I'll pass. With Juju, yeah, I get it. But with all the injuries at receiver, I think he's too valuable to have back there, potentially risking injuries. So I think you got to find another option.
Would you put Deante Johnson back there?
I'm not opposed to it. I'm fine with trying to do a new returner, but the ball security stuff does worry me some. And again, I think the real central issue is the blocking has to be better. I know it's very easy to focus on just the return man because he's the only guy who gets the stat for the kick return, but the blocking is terrible. And so I'm more focused on getting Chick back, getting Nix back, putting someone like Vince Williams out there, maybe someone like Zach Gentry if he were to be active on the kick return team, because the blocking is bad. Medikevich, Elliott, Samuels, Gilbert all had missed blocks on those returns, and that's the bigger issue.
You're gonna die on that Danny Smith hill, aren't you? God, we're gonna play. I don't know what song we're gonna play.
When Ulysses Gilbert III can't make the block that lets Fort come in free to make the tackle, that's on Gilbert III for not making the block, right? That's not on necessarily Danny Smith nor the return guy, correct?
Well, then you got to start keeping better players, then, don't you?
Yeah, well, sure, but again, like I said earlier, is that this has not been a short-term issue. It's been a long-term issue. There's been obviously different people on these return teams, so eventually you get to a point where you say, okay, yeah, maybe the individual issues or the individual players are the issue, but we've changed it so much that eventually it does come back to coaching. The same thing, maybe it's just not getting coached well enough, and so I think that's a valid point. Listen, I've been critical of Danny Smith in the kick return game for the longest time now, and how it has to get better. It hasn't gotten better. I haven't made any sort of excuse for that, so I'm all for holding Smith accountable. The buck stops with him no matter what happens on his unit, because he's the coach and he's responsible for that group. But I just want to at least point out what the actual issue is. It's primarily the blocking of the return team right now.
Caleb also has another question. Wasn't it so painful to see L.J. Fort get the very first tackle for the Ravens against us on Sunday, downing Holton at the 11-yard line? For starters, Holton had no business bringing that ball out. But right. Who is Fort's special teams replacement for the Steelers? Has he been good enough of a replacement? I guess technically that'd be Gilbert, right?
I'd have to look at the snap count. Yeah, Gilbert, Adaney might be two. I'd have to look at exactly where everyone's getting lined up at. But yeah, Gilbert and Adaney, I think.
Jeff Berg writes in, great work, guys. Still can't wait to hear the podcast, even though the Steelers aren't winning. Well, I guess we're doing our job, right, Alex? It seems to me in that Ravens game that once Barron went out of there was more Vince in the game. The defense got better. I think Alex kind of hinted on that a little while ago. Did y'all notice this on the All-22? Look, I mean, you could tell when Vince is in the game, especially on a couple of plays where he gets some penetration and forces the back up inside. You force those running backs to declare early. You have a better chance of getting those things for unsuccessful plays. He goes on to write, maybe Vince's leadership could have played a role. Look, I mean, if you got a guy going backwards into your own backfield, the back's probably not going to go that way.
Right.
He writes, maybe Vince's leadership could have played a role, ? I know during the broadcast they said Tomlin said Barron has played great this year. I haven't noticed Barron playing great. All I've noticed is that he's on the field. He's the main guy. The other team targets, and is successful on most of those plays. I'm sure Tomlin was just being nice, or have I missed all of Barron's great plays? Let's go 10-6 this year in a miracle season for year 100 in the NFL in honor of the founders, Art Rooney.
Yeah, that's a nice sentiment. It's funny you maybe just talked about LJ Fort. I just saw this Twitter reply on my feed. Fort's agent, and this is an agent, so this is obviously a bit biased. He says the Steelers were begging to re-sign LJ Fort. I don't know if that means after the season or after he got cut by the Eagles, but apparently the Steelers did want Fort back, and Fort obviously went somewhere else.
All right, this is from let's see, it looks like Sean. One comment, one question. I drive a truck at night for a living, and the 2-hour podcast keep me going, so please keep them coming. Eastbound down. That's you ever watch any of the old Smokey and the Bandit movies, Alex?
Yeah, I know the song. That's a good song. I can't remember the lyrics right now, but yeah, I got you. Well enough. That Burt Reynolds, Smokey and the Bandit?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Jerry Reed, Jackie Gleason. Boy, those are some great. You know, the Steelers were in one of those even.
Really?
One of those Smokey and the Bandit movies.
Like the team? What do you mean?
Like a few members of the Steelers. I think.
Really? Any notable names?
Yeah, I think Mean Joe Green was in one of them. Come to think of it, it's been so long since I've seen those, and there's been a lot of not over-the-counter drugs mixing clouds some of my memory there. Yeah, go back, and it'd be easy to pull those up on the YouTube machine. I think Terry Bradshaw was in there. I think at one point he tells his offensive line or defensive line to take care of that squad car or something like that. I forget exactly how the scene went down there. Keep driving that truck, Sean. Number 2, Dave, I know you love hypotheticals. So against the Chargers, Duck Hodges has a stat line of like 285 yards passing, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Moncrief tips another one, 30 yards rushing, and wins the game. Who starts Week 9 against Miami Monday night? Boy, that's going to be a great problem to have. I still think if Mason Rudolph is healthy, that he would be the one that gets a start.
Yep, as soon as Rudolph's ready to go, they're bringing him back in. I'm sorry, that's just how it's going to go.
It would be, like I said, be a great problem to have here. William Wood writes in, hey, Dave and Alex, long-time listener with 2 questions. I love that Yens have been going longer on the podcast, and if I remember correctly, you recently broke the 2-hour mark. Have you considered going longer on busy news days? We all know the potential hazards associated with a 3-hour tour. That might be over Alex's head, but is a podcast of that duration in the future, you'd get no complaints from me. Look, and the second one is, I'm convinced that Tom Brady sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads. It's the only explanation that makes sense given the unprecedented success he has experienced and the fact that he has a trophy wife to boot. Discuss. Thanks for all you do, Professor Bilster. Look, it takes all Alex can do to keep me kind of rolled up here at the 2-hour mark. Alex, I don't think has a problem with 2 hours, but I think once we get over that 2-hour mark, I can only imagine how people who don't like these shows that go over an hour enjoy me an extra hour of me kind of stuttering at times. I have a condition, folks. You might not have noticed that by now. More than one condition. Evidently, it's entertaining enough, though. 2 hours is just out of the question, except for occasionally, Bill. But we appreciate the email.
Yeah, I think 2 hours is a good max. And I apologize if my audio sounds funny lately. Hopefully it's okay today. My headset's old. I think I need a new one, so that'll get hopefully fixed for Friday's show. But I think 2 hours is a good number to shoot for.
Let's roll through a few more here. Kick return article. Brian Tate writes in, great article, Alex. Well, you and I both got kudos on articles in the same day.
I'm retired. I'm out.
Great article, Alex. In the third paragraph, you nailed it. Special teams must be a unit. Actually, as we can see with the talent on O&D, football in general has to be played as a unit. That is why I disagree with you guys during roster cuts about the value of good special teams players. To me, having above average having above average special teams players on a terrible unit is like having a tallest midget on a basketball team. Hey, easy here. Alex is listening. It's not.
All right, well.
It's not going to help you win. So unless you're going to keep 11 to 12 players based only on their special teams play, the value each player adds as a backup at their natural position should be weighted higher than their special teams abilities. Yes, they hopefully play more special team snaps, don't want injuries, but the probability of one of two players bringing the unit from bottom of the league to even middle of the pack is far less than that of them needing to step up for injuries. I know we are a long way from needing to discuss rosters again, but felt like it was a good time to mention after reading the article. My opinion only. Keep up the great work. What would you say to Brian Tate?
Well, first of all, rude, Dave. Thank you.
Oh, he does say he ends this with R.I.P. McLumina. You know what? You missed a golden opportunity. McLumina should have had his own Instagram page.
No one would have followed that. That would be the most depressing Instagram page.
I bet they would have.
She's still here. She's still in the yard. I think we might have a buyer. There's a local church that I think is trying to help out one of the moms there. So she's going to go to a good home, I think, which I'm excited about. To the question itself, I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and those things do get weighted. Obviously, it's not just, okay, these are your starters, and everyone that isn't a starter is based off solely on what they can do on special teams. And that's an evaluation the Steelers make. It's an evaluation that all teams make. Every team has, we're not talking about 11 or 12 true and blue only special teams players. We're talking maybe 2 or 3, something that every team can identify with, and every other team has, backups that could be starters if injury happens, or young guys that can, hopefully ascend into a role while still playing special teams. So I don't think what Pittsburgh's doing is unique to them or to any other team. I think it's some things that all teams do, where they all have to balance between, the value of special teams versus the value of potential offense and defensive help. But if you're on a roster and you're active, you got to help in some way. So there's that factor too. But I just don't want to pretend the Steelers are doing anything that's so radically different than the rest of the league, because they're just simply not.
Look, and when we do our roster predictions, we do those thinking how the Steelers are going to do theirs. Okay, so that's why we keep the Tyler Matakaviches and the Anthony Chicalos.
Yep. Yeah, and again, every team has their version of Chick and Dirty Red. And then there were guys like Benny Snell, who you obviously wanted to keep because he was a draft pick, but, in value, he was going to help you on offense potentially, but also he was going to be a guy that would have to come in and play special teams as well. So there are those guys, too, where you have players that are kept for their side of the ball value, and then what they can offer you on football's third phase. So it's all a balancing act that every team does.
All right, this one from Paul Valentin. Impact of concussion on Rudolph. Big fan of you. Hi, David. I was a big fan of the work you do. I have been a keen listener of the podcast for several years now. I am a Frenchman who met a Pittsburgh girl in London. I guess that would be called an English yinzer, right?
I don't know, Dave. We're going to get canceled after this, I think.
They can't cancel me. Who met a Pittsburgh girl in London. Boy, I bet she stuck out like a sore thumb, didn't she? Oh, that's bad. And ended up marrying her. God bless you. We live in Pittsburgh now. Question. If Rudolph comes back, do you expect to see his skills impacted by the concussion? Do you expect him to pick up where he left off? What's the history of quarterbacks being hit by concussions? Man, I am in no way, shape, or form way to answer the medical end or the history part of that as well too. Look, I mean, Ben's had a concussion. I mean, a lot of them do. As long as he's cleared and has the senses about him, this isn't the first hard hit that Mason's taken. So I don't think it's going to take the piss and vinegar out of him, if you will.
Yeah, it might be the hardest hit he's ever had, but it's certainly not the only hard hit. And let's be very clear about this, and you can read Dr. Mel's post. The concussion protocol is pretty rigorous. I mean, you got to go through a I forget how many steps it is, 7-step process to get cleared to play, which includes having exertion, exercising, working out in practice, and then being checked for symptoms afterwards. And if you're clear, you don't have any symptoms returning after exercise and exertion, then you're cleared to play fully. So Rudolph's going to have to go through all the steps to get cleared to make sure he's right and fully functional without any sort of concussion-like symptoms. So when he's back, he's going to be back 100%. And then there are obviously long-term discussions you can have about what concussions can do to you, but short-term, he should be fine.
All right, JC writes in, Steelers win or lose. I love listening to you guys, best in the business. Thanks, JC. After all these offensive woes, I haven't heard anyone anywhere definitely say that the loss of AB is shaking this team from O to D to coaching staff, even the popcorn guy is off. Fietner was reliant on him drawing basically over half of the opposing D, trying to stop him and tried to scheme it as if he were still here. The receivers are finally just starting to develop. At first, none could get open. Imagine how many picks Ben Roethlisberger would have had forcing the balls to this green crew. It pains me to say it. I thought it was Ben making AB great, not the other way around. The evidence is clear. If you go back to last game against Cincy, I remember catching the game halfway through the first half, not knowing AB wasn't playing and wondering what was going wrong with the O. The Steelers eked out a 13-10 game. That was a must-win. When I heard AB was going crazy, I saw this coming. Truth be told, he was a force of nature, one of the best ever, just crazy as a loon. Everyone was relying on his skills, maybe without knowing it. Juju is suddenly good, but not team MVP good. Obviously, his numbers will be down. Do you think it will affect his contract? Also, Hodges comes in a boom. He's throwing the ball down the field. Is it possible Rudolph's handcuffs came from himself not having the cojones to throw deep? Personally, I'm on the duck train from first look. This team had Shazier, Bell, Brown, and BR, now gone. Got a feel for Tomlin. Comments. I'll be clutching my pearls to see if you read this. Keep teaching the kid pop culture. I'm working on it. JC. Boy, a lot to unpackage there. AB was a great receiver, man. You're not going to get an argument out of either one of us on that. Made some amazing catches. But at some point, maybe during the offseason, I'll get a chance to go back and look at maybe 2 years' worth. What's the percentage of big plays that AB made after the play had broken down?
It's a lot of them. I have no idea on a percentage, but it's a good chunk of them.
It's a lot of them, though, right?
Yeah, I said that. Yep, a lot of plays.
Yeah, and what has Ben Roethlisberger known for doing better than anybody in the league?
Extending the play, keeping the play alive.
So, I think you got to look at it from that aspect of it. Number one, not only plays to AB, but plays in general. I mean, you go back and watch that old tape of Ben right out of the chute. When Big Ben became Big Ben, making plays, making plays out of nothing sometimes. AB excelled in that area. Now, does that mean you couldn't just throw a regular back shoulder throw or fade to AB? No. I mean, is this offense missing AB to some degree? You damn right they are, right?
Yeah, to a large degree in terms of the on-field product, absolutely. And
right.
Everyone knew that.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think anybody's discounting that. But you can win other ways.
Yeah, sure. It's not the only excuse. And then I'm trying to think of all the things that JC asked, but I think he made a pass about how AB made Ben great. Ben was already great, I think prior to AB even becoming a Steeler. So I disagree with that. Rudolph still going to be the guy. I like Hodges, but Rudolph's going to be the guy. And
I guess his question is Rudolph possibly handcuffing himself, look. We've pointed out a few throws that we thought that Rudolph probably should have made, right?
Yeah, I think it's less than what people try to say overall. I think Rudolph has a more conservative nature than Hodges, but Hodges is also, again, not supposed to be here right now. So I think Hodges gets to play a little bit more loose because he's got nothing to lose.
Will Juju's numbers being down affect his contract next offseason?
No, he's still going to get paid a lot.
Yeah, he's still going to be top 10 easily, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I
I don't know exactly where it's going to fall, but he'll get paid a lot.
Ian Carmen writes in, third downs. This is St. Troy 43 on Twitter. What in the world do you make of converting 3 first downs in 5 straight games? Should be the stat of the weird. What is that? What do you make of converting 3 first downs in 5 straight games?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. What are you seeing or not seeing on these possession downs? How much does the play calling on third and fourth and short say about the coach's trust in the offensive line run blocking, if that makes sense?
I think he's saying they have 3 third down conversions in 3 straight games because they had 3 Sunday. I'm guessing that's what he means.
P.S. When are you blocking John Smith? Take a look at the post in the Terra. Do you know what that means?
That user's been banned. I apologize. I didn't see that right away, but once I did, I banned that user immediately. So he's gone.
Okay. I hope you. Well, evidently there was some bad replies in there.
Yeah.
It's better off sometimes if I stay out of my own comment section on my own site. Right, Alex?
Yeah. No offense.
What? Mark Chapman writes in. Mark Chapman's, I think, the president of the Devlin Hodges fan club. He reminds me of Mini Roethlisberger. He plays fearless and a gunslinger with some touch. Alex seen something there in training camp and preseason. He seems so comfortable in the pocket and running the offense. Rudolph seems to be less comfortable in trying to be perfect with his passes. I love both quarterbacks, but Hodges needs to be considered. # still believe.
Again, we're just getting a lot of the same question. I mean, I'm excited for Hodges. I'm excited to see him play. He's uncommonly playing well for the position that he's in. But Rudolph's still going to be the guy when he comes back. It's as simple as that.
One wasn't enough for Mark Chapman. He sent 2 emails. If Duck Hodges comes out with a decisive win in Los Angeles, do you continue to let him start over Rudolph after the bye week? My opinion is let him continue to start if he is winning. # still believe. Look, we'll see. But I think if Mason's healthy, like Alex has said after the bye week, I think it's Mason's gig. But it'd be sure nice to know that you have a solid ducking waiting in the wings.
Oh my God! All right.
What if Duck lays an egg Sunday night?
That's a good one.
What happens if he does lay an egg Sunday night?
Rudolph goes back to being the starter, and you go, well, that's what happens with a rookie trying to start West Coast and without a receiver and without a number 2 running back. I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to really anybody if he struggles, especially nationally. But if he plays well, then that's obviously going to be the bigger surprise.
All right. What do you think, Alex, before I start quacking this show up any more than...
I'm gonna get the duck out of here, Dave.
All right. With that, hopefully we entertained you all today. Thanks for listening. With large. I mean, we get more and more of these emails every week. We appreciate all the emails that we get. The listenership has just been off the chart on this. How about roll over to the website as well too, SteelersDepot.com. Alex has some great stuff on the special teams breakdown. He has a great video on the things we discussed with Keith Butler and things that happened there, I think in the fourth quarter of the game. Man, I put a lot of time in that Devlin Hodges post film room as well, too. Get over to SteelersDepot.com and spend some time over there for us as well, too. We don't think you'll be disappointed if you do so. In the meantime, do you like what Alex and I do? Show us. Go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button, upper right navigational bar. If you want an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com, it's been very, very popular this year. Since it's over a calendar year old now. We've had that thing. A lot of people are taking advantage of that. It helps us out. It helps you out. $25 for 1 calendar year. You get an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com. We have Eric Williams, beat writer, scheduled to talk to later on this evening. That'll be hopefully part of the Friday Terrible Podcast as we preview the Steelers game against the Los Angeles Chargers and get ready for that. Once again, thanks again for all the listenership. Numbers have been off the chart. And until Friday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.